I mean, look, last live stream that I did, it was a bunch of people jumping in the stream asking me about my thoughts, how I talked about it. And of course, I haven't done a video on it. And to be honest, it's just not much that I can say to add to it. Yeah, but we'll talk about it. I guess we'll just sort of the fact that we have a video, and I'll reiterate some of the points that I've made before. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, Aldous Hodge has been confirmed to be Hawkman in the upcoming Black Adam movie. So obviously, Hawkman. There's been numerous Hawkmen. Virtually all of them have been fair skinned. You got Carter Hall, one being from Thanagar, right? And the other being obviously an American, both fair skinned. Definitely the one that a lot of people know of. And Carter Hall was white and blonde. He was really white. And yeah, that's just what he's been historically. Speaking, but of course, in the upcoming Black Adam movie, he will be played by a black man, and I don't know what direction they're gonna go with this, as far as which version of this Hawkman they're going. I don't know if they're gonna try to play the whole Egyptian thing, right? Maybe that's the closest thing that they can get to trying to have the Hawkman be somehow, because it's JLA, I'm guessing. But I don't think that, even it doesn't make sense. This is me just trying to rationalize with it, but it doesn't make sense. Either way, we know who Hawkman is. Hawkman has always been a fair skinned person. That's what the Hawkman is. And as I mentioned before in my previous videos, particularly in the one I did about James Gunn, these are actual efforts, guys. These aren't things that just happen just to be happening, right? Aldous Hodge may be a fantastic actor, and this is what a lot of people would say, because they just can't envision the fact that this is Hollywood trying to do this, right? They always have to look at it as, oh, well, maybe he was the best person for the job, is what they always say. And those familiar with the industry, how precise they are with their casting, right? This stuff doesn't happen on accident. It doesn't happen as often as it does recently by accident. This is something that they want to do, and they always do. And it's because of the fact that they feel as if they have to do it. James Gunn admitted it. He admitted it. We did a video. Go watch my previous video. He specifically stated that he said something like 95% of the superheroes are white, so they have to do this so it can be a reflection of our world today. That's why they do it. So he's telling you, he's admitting that this is an effort that they try. They try to do this when they cast. It's not an accident. It's not, well, he was just the perfect Hawkman, or this person was just the perfect person to play the character. They embodied it, what we envisioned the character to be. No, that was not the case. That had never been the case. It never was the case. When they have these guys playing these roles, they have them playing the roles by way of just purpose. They went out of their way to do it. I guess the only angle that I can take in this video is actors and actresses seem to be, I don't know, they think that they're liberating people by doing this, specifically like black people. I don't know what Aldous Hodge's vision was. So I don't want to straw man his position or anything like that. We do know with DC, if you look at with the new upcoming Batwoman, which is the black, and how, they go on these sort of, they take these angles, right? They did with the DC fandom thing, and she's like, "Well, I'm just so glad to be representing black people and the LGBT that was her," right? And they take these sloppy seconds, right, in these roles that have always been filled by generally white people. It's not like they demand, it doesn't seem to be, they use any of their leverage to say, okay, well, I would want to play a black character, a character that's original, a character that's been historically black. They're perfectly fine with taking the sloppy seconds and running with it. So maybe that's what I need to do is start taking that angle when I do my videos and I talk about this. I did a million videos about tokenization in great detail. You can visit my YouTube if you want to type that in. You probably can just type my username and tokenization, and it probably all kinds of videos will talk up, and me going in great detail about this particular subject matter and people's obsession with representation and all of this other nonsense, because God forbid that you actually relate to a character outside of his race. But if they are hell bent on thinking that that's the case, you'd think that they would demand that there be original characters instead of trying to take the ones that have had decades upon decades of grinding, if you will, right? As far as working on the character so that they become notable. Okay. They could do that. They don't. They don't take those characters and what they do is they take those characters that have been worked on and then they just race swap them because they're notable. And for whatever reason, weirdos think they're notable because they're white. And I'm like, no, they're notable because they just been worked on. And there's so many white characters. Go pick up I got both of them there, DC or Marvel's encyclopedia, and you see the vast amount of white characters that you probably have never heard of because they failed. If you are a normie. And that's just what it is. They fail too. It's just the ones that do get worked on. They have something to work with. They hit with the fans, and they continue to work on those. They could do that with some of the black characters. They choose not to, because this is the easier route. Take the characters that have been notable. Take the characters that have been worked upon for decades upon decades, and just race swap them. And then it's clap. Representation, and then weirdos coming to check. Well, why you should be supportive of this person, this black man or this black woman, like, because they represent. Like, dude, first of all, I don't, whatever sort of, I don't even know what to call them, morals or what have you that you stand by. That's not what I'm about. I'm not about this whole, I need to see someone black to feel good about myself. That stuff is for losers. And I would never raise my, when I do decide to bring kids into this world, I will not raise them to be taking Hollywood seriously, to feel as if they got to look at y'all, which with all the funky and immoral stuff that goes on in Hollywood. I would never have them looking up to you fools for some sort of guidance, or rather feel as if they can do something and be great at something. It's not happening. I'm sorry. Nonetheless, I don't care for that. I have videos also talking about representation and diversity and how both of those are sham concept. I'm an individual. I have no issues having as characters as white, black, whatever. Some of my favorite characters are black. They happen to be black. But I am a guy. Comic books, look, visual medium. We see the characters. We know who the characters are, and there's nothing wrong with keeping them how they are in terms of their skin tone. Instead of trying to make it a social and political point, or more so social political, and in race swapping, I just don't have any desire to accept that. You know what I'm saying? That's lazy. It makes new characters, use the ones that already exist. And when I say new characters, let me be more precise, because still crackheads don't get it. We were looking at some guy who was like, look when they try to create new characters, y'all don't like them either, and then they bring up like Miles Morales and Riri Williams and other stuff. It's like, you crackheads just don't get it. You don't get it. You don't understand. When we talk about this, we're specifically referring to original characters, not black versions of original characters. We're talking just purely original characters. Luke Cage, as an example, is an original character, the original black character. I know Hollywood right now, for whatever reason, this happens in the books as well, so it's not just Hollywood. Just they're bankrupt and intellectually, right? Creativity wise, I guess, let's say that they're bankrupt. They had ideas, so what do? Is just to just tokenize all the characters that they can. A bunch of losers.